he goes to the circus with his Uncle Sam. You all know that in the U.S. Uncle Sam is the metaphor for the U.S. government, right? Uncle Sam. So he goes to the circus with his Uncle Sam. And while he's watching the elephants in the central arena and the trapeze artists over the second arena, his Uncle Sam is feeding him cotton candy. And he's feeling wonderful with the cotton candy. He's having a sugar high. He's having a great time. But then Johnny gets home. And what does all that cotton candy give him? A tummy ache. And his mommy tells him, you see, Johnny, you shouldn't have eaten all that cotton candy. I can try to give you a little medicine to help soothe the tummy ache, but your body has to get rid of the over amount of sugar. You have to go through a tummy ache for your system to get better. And what does your Uncle Sam do? Oh, Johnny, you have a tummy ache? Here, have some more cotton candy. Is that going to help Johnny in his tummy ache in the long run? No. But that's what, unfortunately, the European Central Bank and the U.S. Central Bank and the Bank of England and the UK are doing. They're like Uncle Sam saying, here, you have a tummy ache, have some more cotton candy. That's why I fear that these stimulus attempts, these low interest rate policies, this creating of huge quantities of new money out of thin air are setting us up for another downturn because of another illusionary set of bubbles. The moral of this lesson is that central bankers have no worldly wisdom to centrally plan the monetary system and certainly not the economy as a whole. And what we need is to accept the fact that there is no alternative than allowing private markets to competitively set supply and demand through the free determination of prices competitively in the market. If we want a recovery of the world economy, if we want a system in which we can each freely and successfully communicate with each other as suppliers and demanders for global coordination of all that we can do in the international division of labor, so that over time, with admission and understanding that nobody has perfect knowledge and mistakes and errors are made along the way, that we can long-term look at prosperity and growth and improvement in all of our standards of living as citizens of the world. And that's what we are in today as a global economy. You may be Bahamian, I may be an American, someone else is French or German. Guess what? Economically, we're citizens of the world. We share one global marketplace. And that means we have to trust in the institutions of the market to give us the prosperity we all like to have through these coordinated patterns of supply and demand by keeping government out and letting us make these free choices as producers and consumers. Otherwise, the process will just keep repeating itself again. Thank you very much.
Before I open the floor to questions, I'd like for Mr. Forsyth to come forward and make a brief presentation or make some brief comments.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming. I know you're probably not here on your free will, but that's okay.
I appreciate it.
Start from the basics. I'm Bahamian. I was a COB student too in 1998 and 1999 before I went off to Canada. So I can relate to sitting in this classroom just like you can. Ms. Thompson here is Bahamian as well, and we're both with the Nassau Institute, and we're handing out brochures of what that is. And what it basically is, it's an economic, non-profit, libertarian think tank. That's a big word to say. We want a better Bahamas. And how we try to achieve that is through lower taxes, more efficient government, more personal freedom, and how all these things interconnect. And we bring people like Dr. Ebeling, experts from abroad, and he's going to speak tonight at the Hilton. He's talking here at COB. He's on Jeffrey Lloyd's show tomorrow. He's interviewed by Wendell Jones on the platform at JCN tomorrow night. And we have all these things recorded, and we distribute them through our mailing list and our email list. And take a look at our brochures, take a look at our website, nassauinstitute.org. And I'll hand out an email list. If you want to be on our email list, we send out a newsletter every Saturday with videos like this, reports. We do a lot of research on the Bahamas, and we just try to make it a little better place through this non-profit venture. We're all volunteers and just trying to spread a little information. So, ask Dr. Ebeling some questions.
By the way, I was asking him, when did his ancestors get here? These folks got here in the 1780s. Do you know why? They had to leave America. Why they had to leave? They were on the wrong side. They supported the king as opposed to us Americans in our independence. He was a loyalist. A loyalist. Anyway, nobody's perfect. Okay, any questions? Banana peels, tomatoes, just throw them at me. It's okay, I'm used to that. Oh, he has a question. That means I have to have an answer. Okay.
George Will, right in Boston,
A little louder, several.
George Will used to write for the College of The Bahamas. He's right in Boston. Before GM got all that money, he said he doesn't understand the concept of purpose of the money, which is the U.S. government said GM is too big to fail. We have to bail them out, so let them have to process the corrections out because they're too big to fail. And I'm on both sides of the fence on that. Yes, it's too big to fail, but at the same time, it's something about the fittest. You have to shed all the extra weight you have. If you make cars, like you said, you make a car nobody wants to buy it inefficiently, then you pay the trend, which is you go out of business. That's our capitalism. Maybe explain the pros and cons of
the argument sometimes has been made. Emmer? Okay, as Emmer was saying.
Repeat the question.
Yes. Is that in the U.S. there have been people who have criticized the fact that the U.S. government has poured in tens of billions of dollars into the loss-making auto industry. General Motors, Chrysler, in Detroit. And that the rationale for this has been the idea, well, they're too big to fail. They have too much of a negative impact on the economy. The problem with this is that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. First of all, let's understand what happens if the government does bail out with taxpayer money industries that are loss-making. Now, this is the third time that the Chrysler Automobile Company in the U.S. has been bailed out by the U.S. government. They received subsidy and bailout money back in the 1970s and then in the 1980s. This is 3 times. Okay? Now, to my mind, there's an American sport called baseball. Maybe some of you have heard of baseball. And the batter goes up, and the ball is thrown to him, and if he swings 3 times and doesn't hit the ball, he's out. It's called striking out. 3 strikes and you're out. 3 bailouts, 3 strikes, you're out, buddy. Get out of here. Okay? Okay, now, but think of it this way. What does it mean that General Motors or Chrysler is suffering losses? It means that we, the consuming automobile public, have decided that their cars are not attractive enough, either in terms of the price, or the quality and the features, or a combination of price and quality, to buy their cars relative to what? The competitors. Competitors such as Honda, Toyota, BMW, okay? Saab, or any other car, okay? They have failed to make the product that consumers want and have been willing to pay for. And therefore their market share has gone down, and as a result their revenues have decreased. Year after year, decade after decade. In fact, the American automobile industry as a whole, General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford, were less than 50% of the automobile buying market before this economic crisis began. At the end of 2007, they only had something like 47 or 48% of the domestic automobile market. The rest went to the Toyotas and the Hondas and the BMWs and the Volkswagens and so on. Okay? They've been on decline for decades. They have not devised a way to make the better mousetrap that you're willing to buy compared to the competitor. Now this means that we're voting with our money. Now the example was used about the U.S., so I'm using the U.S. example. American consumers are saying, voting with their money, we don't like your product. It's not what we want, the features and qualities and improvements we would desire, the prices we're interested in paying, compared to the competitors. We prefer the competitor's car.